Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's session on your practice on Xero. My name is Daniel Tramontana from BGL Corporate Solutions, and I'm stoked to be able to present to you Patrick Frigo, or my friend Pat. I've known Pat for a long, long time, and he's one of the really great people in our industry that I just have the pleasure of being able to work with on a frequent basis. Bring so much value and insights that I'm sure that today you're going to walk away so much better for having attended this webinar and understanding a little bit more about what Xero offers. So Patrick, thanks for joining us.
Cool, thanks, Daniel. Yeah, really proud and happy to be here. It's actually been one of the great benefits of in my role and working at Xero, getting to work with great people like yourselves and great companies like BGL. We're going to spend today and my time with you today with talking about really an overview of how Xero can work for accounting firms. I'm sure a lot of you are probably quite familiar with Xero for small business and your clients, but there's a whole range of benefits for accounting firms that I really want to go on an overview today. And I'm a chartered accountant myself. I was in practice at a mid-tier business services firm in Melbourne for about six and a half years. And I've been at Xero now for almost eight years now, which has gone really quickly. And in that time, I've worked in a few different roles. I started out in the partner consulting team, which is essentially a team that helps firms transition from traditional practice tools over to the cloud, over to Xero's practice tools. So I've worked with hundreds of different accounting firms of all different shapes and sizes. And in the last couple of years, I've now worked in our partnerships team, and I focus my time now working with the best apps around the world that are built and designed for accounting firms and bookkeepers to use. And it's no surprise that there's a lot of leading technology coming out of Australia, and BGL is absolutely one of them as well. So it's really fantastic to be able to present to the BGL audience.
Yeah. So I was just going to say, Pat. So with today, just so people are aware. So what Patrick's going to go through is just the benefits of having Xero within your practice and how it can really benefit your firm. We're going to talk a little bit about the single ledger, the practice tools that are available, the incredible ecosystem that you have access to by being connected to Xero, which is really exciting, and really important, the partner program that's also available. And during the session, you can ask questions. What will happen as part of the Q&A is that I'll moderate and I'll look out for the questions. I'll have my video off. If I do put my video on, that'll be Patrick's call to know that there's a question that's coming. So Patrick, I know that the audience is in for a great session. I'm going to hand it all over to you, and I'm pretty excited about what you're going to put on the table.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Daniel. Please keep the questions coming throughout. Really, want to keep as interactive as possible. And today's all about how, talking about how and why having Xero as a platform has been really useful and fundamental for many, hundreds, actually thousands of accounting firms becoming more effective and more productive, by using technologies on the cloud. I love starting presentations like this with a quote from our friend Kent, who is a Xero partner, over 30 years of experience, and works at a firm called Carrick Island, which has multiple offices in regional Queensland. And I really love, one of the quotes. He's got a lot of memorable quotes, Kent, but this quote here on screen, I think, is just a really important one that really sums up the importance of being able to change and adapt for the benefit of our clients, which those words have probably been said way more than we'd like over the last 18 months, but it's actually quite important. And that really is what we, those ethos is what we're going to cover today. Technology is an important part of the equation. It's not the only part, of course, but it is an important part of what makes a successful accounting firm. And hopefully in the next 30 minutes, we'll really unpack the why and the how of how the Xero platform can help you become more successful. So we'll talk a bit about why Xero. We'll give an overview of the practice tools, the tools that you can use to hopefully streamline and become more effective. We'll talk about our ecosystem, because that's a really important part of the Xero platform, is the apps that connect with Xero. A bit about it, towards the end, I'll talk a bit about the Xero Partner program. So for any of you in the audience that aren't yet a Xero Partner, or maybe are, but aren't really clear on what the benefits are, I'll just cover that. And then we'll talk about the next steps. If you are wanting to know more or wanting to get more of an understanding than what we covered today as an overview with how Xero can help you and your accounting practice. So why Xero to begin with? And I really like to try and talk a lot about our partners, our accountants and bookkeepers that are using Xero to run their practices. And Lockman's Advisors is a really good example of the why Xero. They're a firm that's been around for about 30 years. Maybe I don't think they've been around as long as BGL has, but they're probably around about the same time. And they're based in Melbourne, and a firm that I actually got to spend a bit of time with last year, getting to know them a bit more. And it was really awesome to hear their story about some of the amazing quick wins they were able to get once they moved from desktop solutions. And I think they were using, it was Handysoft they were using for a number of years, decided that they needed to, I guess, get to some more modern technology to help fuel their aspirations with moving just beyond traditional tax compliance to be able to provide some more services on top of that. And they moved over to Xero's practice tools. I think it was about 6 or 8 months ago now. Time flies. Actually would have been longer. We're in June, so it's probably about 12 months now. And already seeing some really good benefits. And BGL was actually a fundamental part of that transition too. They're BGL customer as well, and that's an important part of their technology stack to help run their client, to help service their clients. But you know, firms like Lockman's for me are really great reasons and examples of why advisors, accountants, bookkeepers are a key part of Xero's purpose. And that's because we know, as you all know in the audience, the really important and vital role that you play for the success of small business and the humans behind those small businesses. And we know the traditional way of collaboration. It's clients having a separate version of events, you know, that separate ledger, and then sharing that with us, usually once a year to get the annual accounts and tax prepared, which we then put into our own system, mix it up, change it up a bit, put some adjusting journals, and you know, prepare the accounts and the tax. And even without battling version control and wrong passwords and manipulating the data to fit our system, you know, it is an inefficient process. And I know firsthand, I was doing that for about 6 years when I was an accountant, and you know, spent a lot of time on the whip doing that kind of stuff. And the fundamental reason that accounting firms are able to become more productive and service, you know, clients, I suppose, more effectively, is the single ledger. And you know what that means is, you know, rather than having separate data in different systems, whether that's the client or ourselves, it's about having that one source of truth. So it's, you know, that less data entry, more data flowing between, I guess, the origination, which is what our clients are doing day to day in their small businesses or their investment entities, and then the applications that they use, as well as the applications that we use. And that isn't always going to be Xero either. That can also extend to our ecosystem or third-party applications that, with the benefit of being on the cloud, can also tightly integrate so that data is flowing everywhere it needs to. And we'll talk a bit about our thriving app ecosystem. But you know, before we do that, and before we get into the nuts and bolts of what are the Xero tools that can help you run, you know, a more effective and productive accounting firm, there are 3 points that I really hope you consider throughout our time together and afterwards as well, you know, this morning, because it's really important that whilst in my role and here today, it's probably more about the technology to help you be successful. Technology tools, they should fit what your goals and ambitions are rather than the other way around. And, a lot of the conversations that we have with accounting firms day in and day out are centered around these 3 points. We know that small businesses in Australia and around the world are moving to the cloud. But what about your practice? What's is underpinning your firm? And if you are advising clients on the cloud, can you do it successfully if your own processes and systems and tools aren't cloud-based either? And then the second point is very dear to my heart is, how are you attracting and retaining the best staff? And, I can say the firm that I worked at was cutting edge in a lot of ways. And I left that firm with nothing but positive memories and a lot of friendships I still have today. But one of the reasons that I did ultimately leave was because the technology and the processes we were using were probably starting to get outdated then, which is back in 2014. But it was just really meant that myself and other staff members were just spending most of our time behind a desk trying to essentially take information from one system and putting it into another. And I think, if that wasn't attractive back 6-7 years ago, it certainly isn't going to be something that the best and brightest in our industry are going to want to be doing. So I think that's a really important point to consider is what are we doing to, keep our amazing talent and then also attract others to join our firm. And then the future, what is the future of your practice? What is succession? What does it look like if you're an owner of an accounting firm and eventually you want to retire or transition to other people? What's the best way to make your firm as healthy and, I guess, future-proof as possible? So there's some very really important points that I hope you all, already are considering, but do continue to consider after today as well. So let's take a look at Xero's practice tools. I've got a few slides to hopefully, simplify the different tools we have and how they interact with each other. Another great example of our partners that are using our tools really, really successfully and have so for almost 10 years now, actually, is Ben on screen. Ben is from Devonport, Tasmania. He operates an accounting firm called Strategy One. And he's got about 5 staff. So Ben's someone who I had a good chat with actually probably a couple of years ago now, and really love this story because it was that story that really warms my heart because he's out achieving what we know is possible, at Xero, and he's done it in just a really, really great way where he's at a point now where he's got 5 staff. His wife helps him out part-time. He's got about 200 clients. And he's in his sweet spot, essentially. He doesn't have any ambitions to grow his headcount. He's not actively going to try and grow his clients. Basically, he's built his practice now. He's got a really great foundation of technology to keep it really efficient and as automated as possible. And he's using, all of Xero's practice tools. He's also using BGL as well for, especially for his super fund clients. And he's just a great example of how, you don't need to grow at all costs and that you can use technology really smartly to be able to achieve your goals. And he's been able to go from being a firm that was only doing tax compliance to now he's elevated to more tax advisory, such as tax planning, and doing that really using the automations and tools that the cloud's been able to provide him. So, it's been really great to see his journey. He's not only saved a lot more tax for his clients, but he's been able to generate a whole lot more revenue for his practice without necessarily having to grow the costs that is usually, come with trying to grow more. So a really good story. And, a big part of his success, not the only part, like I said, but a big part is using the Xero platform and that data flowing. And I'm now going to go through, I guess, a way that all of our tools work together, all of the tools that are available for you to use today, They're tried and tested. We know they work. We know that they've been fantastic solutions. And it all starts with the Xero organization. So like I said, Xero being that single ledger, every Xero subscription that a small business uses actually has a section that only their accountants or bookkeepers can access. And that's where advisors can then prepare the special purpose financials. So, and we have subscriptions for clients that are using Xero, and those that aren't using Xero, you can use, I guess, a more scaled down version of Xero to prepare the annual accounts and the fixed asset registers. But what it means is we're not taking data away. We're just going to use the data that the client has in their accounting software subscription. We can make our adjusting journals and then prepare the special purpose financials. We have Xero HQ, which is, I guess, the part that keeps all of our tools together. And from there, we can have our templates where we can create our different versions of financial statements, and that can be for management reporting, for annual accounts. So we can then apply that across all of our client base really efficiently. And we have Xero Sign, which is powered by Adobe Sign, which allows us to send any document out essentially for electronic signature. So that can be the special purpose financials and our tax returns, where that is inbuilt. And you can also take PDF copies of tax returns and financials or documents from the BGL platform and put that into Xero to Sign as well. We've also got data flowing between our practice manager solution, so Xero Practice Manager, which includes a tax module, and you can also use our tax module standalone if you don't want to use our practice management solution. But we've got the income tax or the general ledger data flows from the special purpose financials or the general ledger more specifically into the tax return to automate that. And you can also ensure that you can use your own subscription of Xero to do the invoicing based on all the WIP and timesheets from Xero Practice Manager. We've got a work paper solution which integrates as well. So the general ledger data will push into our work paper module, which is very important for the annual compliance to make sure we can monitor all the adjustments we need to make, verify all the information that we have from the clients, understand if we need to send out queries or find out more information. And once again, we can have a really good integrated solution there with the source general ledger. And throughout that, we've got information that's, integrating and flowing all throughout those products. Like I said, we're not going to go into too much detail today, just in the interest of time, but I highly encourage anyone that wants to see this in action to either reach out to me or reach out to your account manager, and always happy to organize a demo of how this works and how it can work for your scenario as well, based on, your demographics and size of your accounting firm. Now, what this looks like, I suppose, for a typical engagement for a client, what would that workflow really be? So let's say we've got a new client that comes in today, very eager to get their 2021 tax and compliance prepared. So we would, in Xero Practice Manager, set up the client job, which we'll then use to assign staff members, monitor the progress, assign a budget, we can attach quotes, and then importantly, timesheets, WIP, and then invoice to the client based on that. Practice Manager client list does connect with Xero Work Papers. We can then use our Work Paper module to verify all the transactions, make sure that we're comfortable that what's going to end up on the annual accounts and tax returns we can stand behind. Then, like I said, the client's file has the general ledger and the special purpose financial reports, so we can use that to create the annual accounts. That data can then, the general ledger can then push into Xero Tax. We can use Xero Tax to prepare the annual tax return for our clients. And when all that's prepared and been signed off internally as good for the client, we can then send the annual accounts and tax return to our client for them to sign electronically. And once that's all occurred, we can mark the job as complete in Xero Practice Manager, create the invoice based on the timesheets if we are using timesheets or invoicing in that way. And then that invoice will automatically sync into your own version of Xero. So every Xero partner has a free version of Xero they can use to run their own accounts. They can use this for data management, for payroll, and to send invoices out to their clients. And that happens, syncing all the invoicing data from the timesheets and within Xero Practice Manager. So I hope that all makes sense. I hope that was, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And like I said, this hopefully is just an introductory and an overview for, if you do connect with our team to see the product in more detail, hopefully can make a bit more sense.
Pat, just a quick question that's come through from Anna. I have a detailed tax assessment report in Xero I wrote myself. Can other users with advisor access use my firm reports, i.e. a second accountant does BAS and wages?
Yeah, okay, good question. So essentially what happens is when you are a member or a staff member of a Xero partner, you then get your own instance of Xero HQ, and you can create any report templates in that instance that staff members of that same practice can access. Now, if you wanted someone external, say a BAS agent, in this example, to access that report template, you would need to invite them into your Xero practice as a staff member. And you can be members as a Xero customer, or sorry, as a Xero user, you can be a member of multiple accounting practices or Xero practices, and therefore get access to multiple report templates. And so yeah, you can share something, a report you've created for your practice with a BAS agent, but just keep in mind that if you do that, you can restrict that person's access to your clients. So they won't see your clients by default, but they will see all of the report templates that you've created, and they could use any of those report templates themselves if they wanted to. So that's just something to keep in mind, but you absolutely can share it in that way. Okay, so Xero practice tools we just covered, and one thing that one thing that I didn't completely cover then was every single aspect of running an accounting firm. And that's because Xero, by design, doesn't build technology for every single aspect of running your accounting firm. We are an open platform, and we really believe that if we focus on building world-class accounting software, really focus on that, world-class general ledger experience and practice management, then we want to partner with best-in-class solutions to do the other aspects that are really important for an accounting firm or a small business for that matter, and focus on the data integrating and flowing as best as it possibly can, rather than trying to do it all ourselves. And so, the products that we have here around, the work papers, the financial reports, the tax and work practice management, is really good foundational stuff that Xero has fantastic products for. Xero Practice Manager, and it's one of the most popular aspects is its ability to integrate with best-in-class apps. And I'm not going to go in detail today on all the different solutions that an accounting firm can use, because quite frankly, it differs between the size, the demographics, and the aspirations of that accounting firm. But I think a really useful place to start, and if you wanted like a foundation of, okay, I want to move over to Xero, what should I be thinking of first? In terms of tools to run your practice, typically practice management is of course very important. The other aspects that Xero doesn't have native solutions for, and we really encourage you to partner with best-in-class, is document management, corporate compliance, and if you do have self-managed super funds. So on screen here, and as you all know, some of the best solutions is BGL's products, and BGL's got some really great integrations with the client list and jobs as well for corporate compliance with CAS 360. And so, you can integrate your BGL CAS 360, Simple Fund 360 with Xero Practice Manager. So you can have that shared client list experience. And with document management, we partner with the likes of FII and Suite Files. But we also have a whole wide range of other document management solutions that integrate with Xero as well. I've put these two in this slide because they have probably been the most popular to date with our accounting customer base, but we've got a whole wide range of solutions as well. So it's really important to recognize that, we think that's actually a measure and a way of success for the modern and future accounting firm is having a really integrated suite of technology. And we've got a lot more choices at apps.xero.com for a whole wide array of different workflows and solutions for running your practice and helping your clients. I saw a question that's just come in around, many primary producers. Is Xero set up for primary producers? Really timely question. So thank you for that, because by default, Xero doesn't have specialist software for primary producers. We've got some ability in our special purpose financials to be able to have the livestock schedules. But for a really true integrated solution, I would encourage you to look at a solution like Figured, which has a great integration with Xero and does some really great farm management and cash flow forecasting in that space. So that's a really good example of the ecosystem working really well with Xero.
Just another one that's come through
Yep.
here is, and I know you know the answer to this, we use both Xero XPM and BGL. Is there a way BGL CAS documents can be linked and sent for digital signing via Xero document pack, right? We do have an integration with the Xero digital signing solution with Adobe. So there is a way to link it up. Go, Pat.
Yeah. So a good question, and very, very astute one, because as I said earlier, there is the ability to drop the PDFs from BGL into Xero's document packs. Unfortunately, what there isn't the ability yet is to push documents from third-party platforms into Xero document packs. So that way you could be not having to drop the PDFs in and out. So it's probably something that I can't promise will happen in the short term. I know our team has it as something to consider. What's the best way to be able to do that? Because fundamentally, what would be the holy grail is whatever solutions you're using, being able to put all the documents, regardless of which platform you use, into the one pack or one consistent way to then send it to your clients to e-sign without necessarily having to drop it to PDFs. So something unfortunately we can't do today, but I'm hoping, hoping at one point in the future we will be able to have that. All right. What I might do is I'll see a few more questions come in. I might just finish off. I've got a couple of slides left. I might finish these off, and then we'll get to the questions. But please keep them coming in. Really keen to make sure that I answer them. So just to finish off, the Xero Partner Program. If you're not a part of the partner program yet, there's a URL at the bottom. I might drop it in the chat later as well. That I'd encourage you to join and sign up. It is free to join, and all Xero partners, regardless of how much they use Xero or don't use Xero, get a free Xero subscription, and that includes payroll, expenses, even our projects module that you can use to run your practice. And then when you become a bronze partner, you get our tax solution for free. And if you become a silver partner, then you get the practice management for free and the work papers for free. So our business model is probably a little bit different than what you may be used to, where we directly monetize the ledger. So it's if clients are using Xero subscriptions to run their small businesses, then there's actually no extra cost for you as the advisor. You get invited in, your staff get invited in, you can use it to run the financials and use our tax software and practice management. That's our source of monetization. And I'll show you a bit on the prices there later. The other benefit is you can feature in our advisor directory. So this is a good chance to list your practice and be discovered by small businesses around Australia, even around the world for that matter. Not so. What we do is every time someone contacts Xero as a small business or sets up a trial of Xero and it hasn't come through our accountant or bookkeeper channel, we have someone at Xero pick up the phone, have a chat to them, ask them how they're going on their trial or how they're going with Xero. And one of the questions that they will always ask and that they're instructed to ask is, do you have an advisor? Do you have an accountant or bookkeeper? If the answer is yes, then the instruction is, well, here's how to invite them into your subscription. It's really important they get visibility. If the answer is no, then the response is, well, here's a link to the advisor directory. We really highly encourage you to find an accountant and or bookkeeper. And that's simply because we know our data over a number of years has confirmed what you would already know in the audience, is that a Xero small business customer that's connected to an advisor, they do significantly outperform those customers of ours that don't have any accountants or bookkeeper working with them. Another benefit is you do get discounts on the subscriptions of those business editions for your clients, so that increases as you move up the tiers. And like I said, if you are in a position, and many accounting firms are in this position where they would say, look, we want to use Xero to run our practice. Not all of our clients use Xero, and they'll never will. There's just going to be times when they're just not going to use Xero to run their businesses. That's completely fine. We've got scaled down versions of Xero that can be used for that, where you use it yourself as the advisor, whether or not you need to connect bank feeds or not, but at a minimum, you can use it as that consistent platform for your practice to prepare financials, fixed assets if you need to, and prepare the accounts and tax. And then of course, we've got the business editions as well. So our website has way more information on what's included, what isn't, and the pricing, but just so you're aware of what the kind of costs are there. So I'm just going to finish up quickly on the support and security, because this is a really important part of the Xero platform. For those of you that are Xero partners, I'm sure that you know that you get your dedicated account manager who's there to help you, navigate what Xero can do for you. Our Xero supports it in a number of different ways. We have a follow the sun model. So being a global company, we have a support team based all around the world. When our team in Australia is finishing up for the day at 5, 6 p.m, our team in the UK is just getting started with their first coffee and can then help and support throughout the night if needed, to try and get those cases and those questions answered as soon as possible. But we've got some really great people that work in Xero in all the different teams, and our support team is no exception. Many of them are degree qualified accountants as well. So Xero does really like having accountants and bookkeepers join our ranks. So I'm an example of that, because we know that just helps us provide the best service we can to advisors. And just on security, I won't go into too much detail other than that it is absolute importance to Xero. It is world-class. We're a publicly listed company, so it needs to be world-class. We deal with hundreds and hundreds of banks all around the world, tax authorities all around the world, and you can only imagine the types of rigorous certifications they make us undertake, and BGL would know this as well, especially dealing with the ATO, that they are very much making sure that their technology suppliers or technology partners have the best security, and we're very proud to say that we have that as well. Okay, so the other main benefit of working with Xero, especially in the early stages, is our partner consulting team. And this is really useful if you are in a position where you're using, say, desktop practice management software, or your clients are using software that they want to then transition to Xero. Our partner consulting team have a range of different ways to help move that data, not only over to Xero, but in the best way so that you can get started, whether that's as your client to get started on Xero, or your practice. One of the things I've been doing a lot in the last few years, especially, is converting from desktop software over to over to Xero Tax and Xero Practice Management. And they've had, especially in the last 6 months, they've had some really robust tools to take databases from MyOb, AEAO, Handysoft, and APS, and then spin that into the data that they can then import and set up on Xero Practice Manager, and and tax, and even populating the general ledger data as well. So there's a few options here on the screen. This is also on our website. Reach out if you want any questions on this as well. But it's just a really exciting time, because we know accounting firms have never been better supported to move from desktop over to the cloud, especially as we work quite closely with the other technology partners that they would be transitioning to. So we've worked quite closely with BGL on a lot of instances when they've had customers moving from their desktop product to cloud and wanting to move to Xero as well. So our teams work closely together just to make sure that we can do that in the best way for the accounting firm. So definitely reach out, and if it makes it any easier as well, we are actually running free tax for anyone that wants to use it. That's an accountant or bookkeeper. Bookkeepers love Xero Tax for all the BAS management. By the end of this year, you can get free tax if you're not a bronze partner or above. So something to think about if you want to at least evaluate it, which a lot of firms do, and I highly encourage, is test Xero software, sometimes side by side on a handful of clients, just to make sure it does do what this crazy guy Patrick said it would do at BGL RegTech, and making sure it really is doing what you'd like it to do. So that was really all I wanted to talk about today. Hopefully that was informative for those of you that joined us. Thank you again. If you're not a Xero partner, please join the Xero Partner program. It's free. I guarantee you'll get a lot of value. Speak to Xero Account Manager if you are interested in anything you heard about today. And like I said, they can organize a demo, a more in-depth demo of the practice tools, and really help you pick apart this software, really scrutinize it and make sure it can stand up for what you need it to do, because that's the most important thing. So thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it. I've got a couple of questions here. So Daniel, do you want me to answer these first? Or?
Yeah, look, I just want to go through something with you, which I think is a really important point for many of our listeners too, is around one of the reasons why you decided to move from your previous accounting firm. And what I actually find quite interesting, like it wasn't a cultural thing, wasn't a people thing. Some of it has to do with the technology. And what I found in my experience is when it comes to recruiting and the tools that you use within your business, believe it or not, technology does make a difference. And it attracts a particular caliber of person. And there are people that are coming through that want to engage with the best technology using technology that helps them better do their jobs, and also help them with technology that helps them grow their skill set. And we're seeing this here within the BGL business too. I know that we're a software company, but the technology that we use, the platforms that we use, make an important difference when it comes to people choosing us as an employer versus somebody else. Right. So technology is more than just a piece of software that fits within your businesses. It actually adds to your whole value proposition as an organization, and really important in the way that you position yourself in the eyes of those that you're wishing to attract, because it does make a significant difference. But there are a number of questions, and I think we should try and go through these if we can.
Yeah, definitely.
Would you add quantities to Xero reports? This would make primary production accounts much more functional.
Yeah, good question, Anna. It's not something. Yeah, so my hesitation to answer this is because I would love to see the quantities added. I know it's been discussed, but unfortunately, it's not going to happen, at least in the short term. But absolutely, yeah, it would be great to have, but unfortunately, I just can't. It's from my knowledge of the roadmap, it's not something that's slated, at least for the short term. So but it would be great if we had it.
With your phone support, can you just explain?
Yeah,
I know that you don't primarily provide phone support.
I should have
explained the support model.
Yeah, thanks for that question, because I actually should have explained that when I had that there. So there isn't there isn't an inbound phone number to call Xero, but there is phone support, and I'll explain that. I'll explain that in a bit more. So, one of the things that we made a conscious decision from the start was we wanted to avoid the situation where people are on the phone for 30, 40, 50 minutes to an hour, being bounced around and not getting the answer they want straight away. And but the challenge to that is there are a lot of people, and also there are many scenarios that come up where a phone call is going to solve it much better than emails. So fundamentally, the way that Xero has been building its support over the last few years is to try and, first of all, make sure that we can make it as self-serve as possible. And for anyone who's tried to contact support over, recent times, at least, would see that anytime they're trying to put in their question or info or what they're trying to achieve or their issues, Xero's trying to suggest articles and things that might solve it. It's not always the case, but we're trying to make it as easy as possible to self-serve, because ultimately the main goal for us is to, first of all, eliminate as many issues as possible, but when issues or questions come, to have you resolve it as soon as you possibly can, and that's the main goal. Now, what will happen is whenever there's when there's something urgent, this happens probably a lot in the payroll time as well, because as you can imagine, when it comes to people getting paid, that's quite can be quite sensitive. But our team, especially when the customer's really asking for it or needs it, or it's an issue that just needs to resolve the phone, our team will pick up the phone and call the customer. Sometimes they'll try and organize a time, a mutually beneficial time to call and schedule it. But they do quite often. We'll pick up the phone and we'll call and speak to people. Often they try and do it once they've at least ascertained some kind information for what the issue is, and often if they can be invited into the Xero organization first, so that they can help give more contextual more contextual support over the phone. And just to follow up to that as well, because and look, the wait times have been too long when emailing. It happens as well. It's something that all I can say is that there are peak periods where, and unfortunately, there might be events that happen. Whether it's an unplanned outage, which doesn't happen a lot of the time, but can happen. And of course, things like that, or things when there's government or there's new announcements in terms of government support, whatever the case is, can then lead to a lot of queries for our team. It does sometimes extend the wait period. What I will say is that the team does monitor that, and they don't look at it and say, oh, that's okay, people can wait. We're always trying to improve that, and it's a difficult balancing act, because there's hundreds and hundreds of customers joining Xero every day, and we've got to make sure we can also staff and have the support appropriate, so that it doesn't matter if you've been using Xero for 1 minute or 10 years, you're not going to lose any level of support. If anything, it should only increase. So it is an ongoing challenge that we're hoping we're navigating better and better each day.
Patrick, there's a couple of questions that I think I can answer.
Yeah, cool.
So does BGL integrate with Xero Practice Manager? Yes, it does, Anna. What we recommend you do is that before you attempt to turn it on, please speak to us first, because we have to make sure that your database is in a particular format and cleaned up for certain idiosyncrasies that we need to ensure that are all cleaned up before we can turn that on. Okay, so definitely integrates, and what integrates are your contacts. And the nice thing about the integration is if I make a change to a contact within, if I make a change to a contact within Xero Practice Manager, and that person then is a director of a company or several companies, it will filter through to CAS 360 as a notification, which will then prompt you to automatically generate the forms for that change of officer or shareholder, wherever it may be. Does Simple Invest integrate with Xero Tax? And I've got that asked twice. So what we're doing with Simple Invest 360 is that there will be an export to Xero, and then Xero will be used to generate the tax return for that particular entity type. So it's going to be that's in progress at the moment, and we're pretty excited about what we're doing here with Xero. But essentially what will happen is that we produce all the necessary reporting, CGT events, we can push it through to Xero, and then you'll use the Xero system to then generate the tax return to lodge. That's pretty much the way that we're going to work the system. Is that okay with you, Pat?
Yeah, perfect. No, it's good, and excited for that too.
Yeah, so it's a very good complementing software pieces, two very good pieces. Okay. Any other questions? We're here. We're happy to answer them. Patrick's put in a few links on the chat about the partner program, some of the tools that are available.
Yep. So and look, and just to go on Daniel's point, like it's actually, so one of the things is, if you're in a position to move, say to a new practice management software, it's always a good opportunity just to review that client list and make sure that you're only ever going to transition your relevant clients. And the same thing, with then connecting that, because you want to make sure that you start off on the cloud when you can, not always possible, when you can, that you've got, this is our most relevant, up-to-date client list. There's no old clients or anything that we don't need and just been carrying on as a legacy. And then making sure that you've got that, and then speaking with, BGL, especially if you're going to connect their products with Xero's products, so that you do get it in the best possible way. It's of course, depending on the status of your database, it can be, it depends on how much work's needed, but it's just an always good opportunity just for some house cleaning.
Agree. Well, Patrick, I think that sort of has all the questions and answers covered. As always, it's a delight hearing from you.
Thanks, Daniel.
And what I love is I love your
pleasure.
passion for the product and the passion what you do. And one of the things that I really admire about Xero is the fact that a lot of the people that present and interact with clients do come from an accounting background, so they actually understand the pain points for accountants.
Yeah, and you've got my vintage, which, been in Xero for about 6+ years, and we lived in the desktop only world because cloud wasn't just really a big thing then. So we really understand what it's like to work primarily with that technology. And the really cool thing is now is the team members joining us, this year, last year, have come from Xero practices that are using all the apps integrated. Like they're living like they've come from almost like these utopia scenarios where it's like, yes, this is actually what it is, what it looks like, and then they start going out and presenting and talking about how this all works together. So yeah, that's probably one of the things that I love about Xero too, is like a lot of my colleagues are all really passionate about the software and solutions, and have some really good experience with what it's like to be an accountant, and how technology plays a part. So thanks everyone for attending. And as I said, like we're in a really fortunate position, and BGL is as well, where we're not new. We know this software works. We know it works together. We're really comfortable to say that. Now, that doesn't mean you can just switch it all on tomorrow and it just all hums and works. That's not the case. But we do know that it works. And we do know that if you've got that mindset to be open for change and to work with what the software does and how it can differ from what the traditional software does, that it is going to underpin, a success and really help you out. And I know BGL, just like Xero, has a significant number of customers now that have been using our cloud software. So you can, and I always recommend that too. Like I said before, don't take my word from it. Don't take Daniel's word from it, even though you can, but like speak to the people that have made the move already and that are using this, and they give you the warts and all. They'll tell you the things that, well, we didn't think this would happen, but it did. Watch out for this. If you watch out for this, you're going to have a much better time. But what you'll hear consistently, I have no doubt, is overall people say, 12 months on, 24 months on, our WIP's decreasing a lot. We're getting jobs out the door faster, and the results are there. So
it's actually interesting, Pat, because you and I can talk about this forever, but I will just spend another couple of minutes. But anyone that comes out and says to you, flick the switch and it's done, honestly, buyer beware.
Yeah.
What we do is we're really careful in making sure that we set an expectation and we do our best to deliver the expectation. And the expectation is that it takes time and that it takes resource and it takes focus and it takes effort. To migrate across, and I found this too. I mean, I've been at BGL for a little while, and what I found is that, okay, if you're making any moves to any particular platforms or a particular product, generally year one, you don't see a lot of difference. In fact,
that's fair.
it might probably take a little bit more to complete tasks because of the fact that there is a significant amount of time to invest to get yourself familiar with the product. But then where you start to see the real benefits is between year 2 and 5, which at that point, then it starts to then plateau. But I know that when the SMSF space, for example, and I can talk about the corporate compliance space, that a process that used to take, say, 10 hours to complete with an SMSF, we can get that down to about 3 hours. And one of the big headaches we know was accounting work papers, which we've reduced to, we know used to take somewhere between 30 and 40% of a person's or an organization's time to prepare. We've reduced that significantly by having a fully integrated solution. With CAS 360, similar annual review between downloading it, printing it, putting it in an envelope, sending it to your client, putting calendar entries in to follow your clients up, and then running the reports to check if a client's paid.
Yeah.
You could probably add 1 to 1.5 hours per annual review. We've now reduced that to somewhere between 5 and 15 minutes. But it takes time. It takes a process. And I encourage you, if you haven't taken the jump, take the jump, because it's really good. And I know the guys at Xero, and we consider them family, and they're an outstanding organization that will do everything they can to get you across the line strong. And I encourage you to avail yourself to them.
Yeah, no, thanks, Daniel, and absolutely echo those sentiments. Just a question did come through around how does Xero Practice Manager handle non-Xero clients? So I'll just explain that just in a little bit. So yeah, you absolutely can use Xero Practice Manager and all our tools for clients that don't use Xero. So essentially, yeah, you can create a client's record in Xero Practice Manager for anyone at all. They don't have to be attached to a Xero organization or subscription. That same principle extends to the tax. You can prepare a tax return for any entity at all. They don't have to be using a Xero subscription, and the work papers as well. That all can be used no matter what. Now, the benefit here, or the reason why it's beneficial to have the Xero subscription attached, is because even if you're using the base $5 ledger subscription just to import the trial balance and the adjusting journals, that will then integrate to the work papers. It then integrates into the tax return. So you can, that's where you get a lot of those time savings and automations. But strictly speaking, you don't need to be using a Xero subscription for your clients. So typically you'll probably have, there are some firms out there that have every client uses Xero, but I'd say the majority don't have that. And a lot of the reasons, it might be because they would like their clients to be on Xero because they're more efficient for the accounting firm. And it's it is a good product, of course. But there's just so many reasons why, maybe the business, it might not be the right fit for a number of reasons, and that's okay. And you can still run your whole practice using Practice Manager. A little tip for you as well is that, if you do the maths and if you do think about, okay, well, so if Xero monetizes the general ledger only, then what happens if I have an individual client that doesn't need a general ledger? Do I have to pay Xero for that? And the actual answer is no, right? So if you've got your individuals, salary and wage earners that don't have a need for annual accounts and a need for that general ledger, you can just prepare those tax returns using Xero tax. You don't need a Xero subscription with it. And if you're bronze and above, you're not paying for Xero tax. So effectively, yeah, you can just create those tax returns, lodge with the ATO for free. So yeah, hope that answers your question, John, around that. But yeah, always happy to reach out if you want to know a bit more.
Well, Pat, we will round it up there, mate, because you and I could be here till tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that's true.
Both Italian, we love talking.
Yeah.
But look, I'd just like to thank you on behalf of BGL. It's always a pleasure hearing you present. Very insightful, very good, great tools and tips for our clients to walk away with, our mutual clients, which I know will benefit both of them. I do appreciate what you've done for us and what you continue to do to us, for us, Patrick. So thank you. And to everyone who attended, we appreciate your time. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to what we've had to say or what Patrick's had to say. Will a copy of the slides be available for people, Patrick?
Yeah, I can share a copy. That's no problem.
Okay, so for those that have attended, we're happy to share a copy. And if you have any questions about what's been presented today, we're more than happy to for you to direct those to Pat, who'll make sure that they are attended to. So thank you so much. Thanks, Pat. Always good to see you.
Thanks, Daniel. Yeah, thanks everyone. And looking forward to RegTech. I know it's going to be worth the wait is all I'll say. So hope everyone has a great day and be able to see you soon.
Thank you. See you, Patrick.